record button. Today we'll be pretty sensitive to our timing. I'll probably actually cut it off a couple minutes early so that I can go in and get what I need and be there on time today. So first of all, good morning. Hopefully you guys learned a lot at the team meeting yesterday. Boy, they really packed it in, didn't they, yesterday? Anyone go to the team meeting?
Yeah, Bill, I was there.
Yes.
All right. Anything in particular that you went away with? Remember what Aubrey says. If you you could have easily left that team meeting with 25 things to do to your business. But if you were to approach even close to 25 different ideas, you're probably not going to be as thorough and as focused and intentional as you should be. So what we always recommend is let's look for an idea, right? Let's look for a new phrase, a new stat, a new system, something that we can leave from those meetings with and say, hey, my business is better because I was in that room. Make sense? All right, so we got a really small group today. Let me go through just some kind of financial ideas because we had talked a little bit about financial systems last week. I know many of you were in that session, and for those that were not, it was they telling me it was pretty good. So it is recorded. It is in the YouTube page. As a matter of fact, I think I posted in the WhatsApp group a couple of days ago as well. So that's a really good kind of foundational kind of, I don't want to say curriculum, but some really foundational ideas around how to kind of the framework and the structure in which to think about the finances. So the topic for today is documents that you need for tax purposes. I'm going to say something to start off with, which is potentially going to, I'm not saying this to any of you in particular, just so you know, although the vast majority of us are very relatively new to the business. So don't take this the wrong way. You only pay taxes when you make money. Okay, so priority 1 through 100 is speaking to people, learning, practicing, learning the contracts, learning the market, going to see property, building your network, building your database, identifying the pipeline people, going on appointments, practicing, going on more appointments, practicing again, learning some technology. Don't worry about taxes until you make some money. So in general, don't be so overwhelmed by getting this LLC thing filed or some perfectly, colorful and organized Excel spreadsheet that documents all the money that you have not yet earned and are trying to spend. Okay, so lead with revenue, and you should be laser focused right now on building the database and getting really good at having conversations with people about real estate, right? So who was on the call yesterday with the woman from iMoto, Michelle from iMoto?
I was, Bill.
When I got off the call yesterday, I kind of was like, man, I don't know if I should have said that in front of her, which was, did you notice I used a couple of different language patterns when I was speaking to her, and I brought it up because I thought it was really important. And then I said, I didn't want her to feel like I was trying to manipulate her or, push her in one direction or another. But I think that the takeaway yesterday was there are so many ways to ask the same question of the same person. And you can either learn the tools and the skills that will cause you to have a better shot at being successful, or you can basically wing it. Okay, so those are things that you should be studying and practicing and analyzing and reanalyzing. So I don't mean to, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of tell you that taxes aren't important, but taxes are only important when you make money. So you gotta build the right habits every single day so that we can get in front of enough people so that we can have enough transactions to worry about the taxes. Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am.
Unfortunately, we have people that come and go, and how do I want to say this in a very polite way? Like they could spend 3-4 months learning every little detail about command and smart plans and these kind of things, and then they don't earn any money, and so they can't stick around to do anything with it, right? So you gotta make some money. That's what we need to focus on first. Now, as far as kind of some checklist items, it's time for a CPA or a tax guy or a tax woman, right? It's time to you are a business owner. It is time to step it up in terms of your tracking, in terms of your financial knowledge, financial research, right? You guys need to know things, tax strategies and insurance and all these kind of things. Don't just rely on what you might have learned in high school. You are now a business owner, and you need a tight relationship with a tax strategist so that you can track things accordingly, so you can keep the appropriate documents that they tell you need, and you can make purchases and investments wisely. A lot of people will say, oh, well, I'm going to go out and spend $4,000 to get to Vegas and stay in some fancy hotel to go to some conference, and I can write it off. Yeah, I get that. But if you don't learn anything or you don't meet anyone, you're not going to get a return on the investment. So yes, technically you can write it off, but that's not the point. Your investments should have a return. Everyone follow that?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I want to, I posted a WhatsApp today that's called Profit Camp. It's in the help chat. It's about a 35-page curriculum. It's called Profit Camp that KWRI runs, and there's some really, really good content in that page. So I won't go through it all page by page today, but I'm going to ask you guys all to take some time to review that document. There's all kinds of formulas, best strategies, the way you think about. One of the concepts that they talk a lot about in there is called profit first. So most companies basically say, I'm going to earn whatever I happen to earn. I'm going to spend in a relatively unfocused, untrackable way. And then if I have profit, whatever I have is kind of what I have. What our suggestion is to do it exactly the other way, which is to say, I am after building a life by design, and my life by design requires X number of dollars of profit. Right, and that's the document that we've talked a little bit about in here, which is, you want to be able to support obviously your personal budget, your business budget, your investments, your long-term strategies, your retirement accounts, right? Your investing, these kind of things, whatever it is you desire, rather than hoping at the end of the year that the profit is in place, which it very rarely is, if you're not super intentional, is to say, I want, or I desire, or I require X number of dollars in profit. And therefore, I know how much I want in profit. I know how much I'm going to spend to have to get there because the models are already in place. And therefore, I need to make X number of dollars. Then we build a plan on X number of dollars. Y'all see the difference there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever thought about your business like that?
No.
How have you always thought about your business from a financial perspective? Do you guys see it as like a vehicle to get whatever you want, or do you see it differently?
I see it in that light, Bill.
Okay. Have you ever calculated what the number of dollars you desire from profit perspective?
I guess based off of the investments that I put into it, like, with the tuned up marketing, it's like I'm paying X amount of dollars, but I expect X amount in return. If I was to write this money off of my taxes, I want to at least be able to, make the margin make sense.
Okay, so that's actually the other part of it. So number one, we have to hold every dollar that we spend accountable. So Markia, for example, has been working with a particular marketing company for a few months, right? And even yesterday, we were talking about the relationship between what she spent and what she's received as a result of spending that money. That also has to happen. But before you even get there, you should have a number in mind to say, I want this business entity to create X number of dollars of profit for me. And then my entire plan
he
is revolved
doesn't
around making that happen.
respond.
Does that make sense, Markia? It's really a
Yes.
two-parter. You talked about the
Mhm.
first part. Okay. So I'm not a tax advisor, but and quite frankly, I'm not even that interested. As a matter of fact, I hate taxes. And I partnered with a guy who loves taxes, as crazy as that sounds. And some years he's ready to take a pretty organized stack from me and do what he needs to do with it. And some years he gets a very unorganized stack from me and he does what he does with it, right? So I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time researching all the little nuances to save $100 here and $50 here. I'm going to spend that time going and create more opportunity and more money, so we don't have to worry about that stuff. Okay, so I'm generally not going to go into a huge amount of detail. I'm basically going to track every single thing that I believe resulted in me building my business or growing my business. So the primary things that I track are food and entertainment, marketing, technology, okay, travel. So if I buy an airline ticket to Austin to go to a convention, or once I'm there, I take an Uber to the hotel or whatever, all that stuff. So all the travel, any coaching that I sign up for, right? So Bold, for example, any money that I spend, on technology things, like we have a couple of sites that we pay for finding people's information. We have a couple of sites that we pay for. Like texting and mass texting. In the past, we paid for something called BombBomb, which is a video software which really helps you send and create videos very easily. It's called BOMB.com, BombBomb.com. And all of the expenses that we provide from a marketing perspective. So when you're buying, printer paper and iPads and iPencils and balloons and candy and coffee and all these kind of things that you do in an effort to build a relationship with your prospects or find them to begin with, right? Like if you were to, put your logo on a water bottle, or if you were to, pay for a breakfast for a networking group or something like that. So everything that you pay for, okay, should be tabulated. And remember, we talked about yesterday, you are going to hand all that information to your tax guy or tax woman, and then let them go through where everything goes. In my opinion, you should be saving all of your receipts. Okay. And if you were to ever get audited, you can't just, like, every time you had food or entertainment, write it all off. There are some caveats there. So what I've done in the past is let's say I take somebody for lunch, right? I get the receipt, and on the back of it, I say, this was Markia Smith and I talked about business plan, or talked about Keller Williams, or talked about, next steps or something like that, right? So you obviously know when it happened because of the receipt date on the receipt, who the meeting was with, and in case anyone was to challenge you, and what you guys talked about. Okay. In terms of, you should track mileage. Your CPA, your tax guy will say, generally when you start tracking stuff to do with the automobile, you're either tracking expenses on the automobile or mileage. Okay. So for example, if it's a newer car, I would probably track miles. If it's an older car that might have a tendency to need more, stuff, more, tires and windshield wipers and, paint and whatever else you got to do to the car to maintain it, then I would probably go in that direction. But I would seek that counsel from the tax person. If you wanted perfect records, which I will admit, I don't have perfect records, but I know exactly where I drive every day, right? As a matter of fact, Google tracks where my phone is. So Google can tell whether I got off at exit 7 to get to work or 8 to get to work. And they can tell whether I took the shortcut home to avoid traffic or whether I didn't. So if I really got in a position where I had to defend a lot of my things, then I could go back and track where the mileage that that I went on. And if you'd like, you can also have a paper calendar that essentially says, hey, on this day I started at my home, then I went to the market center, then I met Joe in Marietta, then I met Stephen in Decatur, and then I met Stephanie in Smyrna, then I went back home, right? And you could, if necessary, explain all of the mileage and trips and all that stuff. Remember, I'm not going to say you're not going to get audited, but generally speaking, you get audited when you have numbers that are out of line, if you will, right? If you, let's say you make $40,000 a year, yet you write off $150,000 worth of driving, or you make $40,000 a year and you have a $25,000 website, right? They might, first of all, they might call you in to say, hey, perhaps you should take a money class so you know not to spend 80% of your income on some website, or what's going on with the website that you're not creating more opportunity and making more money, right? But more importantly, it is an expense, and you need to make sure that it's tracked and held accountable. Okay. The more detailed you are with receipts and writing on the back of receipts, and say, hey, this time when I went to home, Office Depot, and I bought a scanner and handful of reams of paper, that's what I bought, right? So on occasion, I've usually never been that detailed, but to some degree I am, and I would recommend the more notes that you have on your expenditures, the less of a headache it would be if you were to ever get audited. Okay. So all of the receipts. So if you buy something online, and you buy a book online, or you buy some kind of class or whatever, make note of all that. And it gets really tough at the end of the year if you're trying to go back and keep track of all this. That's like saying I want to lose 20 pounds and deciding to weigh myself on January 1st to get my baseline, and then the next time I get on the scale is December 31st. I'm like, oh, nothing happened, right? Well, the thing is you didn't monitor it often enough, right? If you get on the scale on December 31st and say, oh, I guess the plan didn't work this year, too late to make adjustments. No, that's not a good strategy. I get on the scale on January 1st and see what I weighed, and then I get on the scale a week later and see what I made and try to make some adjustments. You see what I'm saying? So the more you look at your numbers, the better you will understand the return on those numbers, and the more likely you will be to make adjustments if necessary. Thoughts, questions, ideas? Any people looking for additional detail on anything I've said so far? Okay. Rule of thumb is, if you are unsure whether it needs to be documented, document it. If you're unsure of whether you need to keep the receipt, keep the receipt, and seek counsel from somebody who knows what they're doing, right? So if you were to buy, let's say, a $2,500 computer, there's ways to take the investment expense in 1 year or over multiple years. These are all tax strategies that I'm going to hire somebody to think on those for me. I'm busy selling homes. Make sense? Okay. Hey, Travis, are you in a place where you can talk for a moment? Travis, I want to hear your message, sir.
Yeah, I'm
Are you
here. I
there?
have a few minutes. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. Okay, I want to make sure I get this on film or on record for everybody. I got to tell you, man, that was one of the best texts I've ever gotten.
Thank you.
Or I guess it was probably a voice text, if you will. It was on WhatsApp. That is exactly why we do what we do, is to watch somebody go from one place to another place. And I just want to publicly thank you for your hard work and your efforts of late. And I would love to give you the floor for a moment. And if you could just
Ooh.
share what your journey over the last month or so has been like and where you are from a mindset perspective today.
Wow, caught me off guard, Bill.
I told
do
you
have a
last
few
week I
minutes.
was going to call on you.
Yeah, have a few minutes before I start work. I guess I can probably talk more about my mindset shift. Just making that decision to get out of my own way, and not allowing anything or anyone to deny me of what I know I deserve and the things that I know I want. And for me, it's not all about material gain. That is part of it. But for me, it's more about, what can I do to leave something behind? Because I'm not going to be here forever. So what can I do to help someone? So for me, just digging in daily and telling myself, if I don't do anything else, make calls. If I don't do anything else, make calls. I don't care about, yeah, I care, but right now, golden letters are great, postcards are great, but what can I do right now to get results? And everything works, it does. But I had to look at, myself and Bill, you always say, do you have more time or do you have more money? So in my case, I have more time. So I'm
That's right.
learning to utilize my time on a daily basis and make my calls, reaching out to FSBOs, expireds, even pre-foreclosures. And just I expect to get cursed out. I expect to get told no. I expect that. But I know if I keep doing it long enough, eventually somebody's going to bite. So it's just knowing and believing, and also too, on a daily basis, seeing other agents like Markia or Greta or Donna, and and seeing their success on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. That's motivation for me. And no disrespect to them, but I know I can do it as well. So that is part of my mindset shift, and it's still um, a lot going on as far as continuing that shift. It's a daily thing. It's a daily practice. Making sure that I get up and do some healthy activities, physical,
What was the
mental.
turning point? What was the turning point for you? I don't know if this was the turning point, but I know we had a really tough conversation a couple months ago.
Um,
I think you probably hated
some
me for a week or two.
no, someone said, I don't remember who. I don't remember who, but someone said when the pain of not being able to do certain things or have certain things, not just for yourself, but for other people, that's when you kind of make that decision to jump, So I had to look at, my situation, and I'm blessed. I'm in a blessed position right now because I work remotely, but I have time. I have a lot of downtime to where I can make calls. So, and then looking at things to where, okay, I'm not in a position to do this or to do that. That's when that pain starts to kick in, that frustration. And so rather than me, get frustrated at myself, let me reevaluate myself and let me look at what do I have working for me and what can I do to make things better. And so that's part of, and again, it's a daily mental practice for me because I
Of
would,
course.
I'm pretty sure everyone here knows when you make, these random calls, a lot of times people are receptive and a lot of times people aren't. So it's that motivation to keep doing it over and over and over and over again because we know on the other side there is that pot of gold. So for me, it's that's where the change or the shift happened when that pain, not being able to produce and have certain things, it kind of pushes you to jump off that ledge a little bit.
Right. It's just to kind of finish that thought. It's that when the pain of not getting the results that you need or want or desire exceeds the pain of taking the chance or taking action, you will then take action.
Yeah, yeah,
Until
that's
you
it.
get to that point, then if the pain of doing the action is larger than the pain of not having the results, then no action will take place, and obviously then no results will happen. So
Exactly.
you know, what we've also said in the past is you just got to choose your hard, right? So one example of a hard would be I don't have any sales and I'm not making the money I need to, so I've got to make sacrifices, and I can't send my kid to this school, or I can't go out to this dinner, or I can't protect myself with the appropriate insurances and like these kind of things. That's one hard. And the other hard is going and creating a lot of opportunity for your family and yourself and those people that live in your market. And then you just create a lot of chaos, and it's hard sometimes to control the chaos, right?
Exactly.
But you've received different things, right? The results look differently. So you basically just got to choose your hard, right? Life is going to be hard. It's just a matter, do you want to be hard with control and probably a little bit of money, or do you want to be hard without control and without money?
Exactly. Exactly. No, you're right. That's a very, very good point. Very valid
And I know
point.
that
So
many of us didn't get into this business for money, but don't fool yourself. We all got into this business for control, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We want to control our time. We want
Mhm.
to control who we hang out with, right? So don't fool yourself. We all got into the business for that. And if I'm speaking out of line, call me out on it. Yes, I must be right. Travis,
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
so incredibly proud of you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
These
you.
are
I'm
these
proud
are
of
the
you.
exact what you have experienced over the last couple of weeks when you've been learning more about the market and having more conversations and kind of getting beat up a little bit. That is,
Yeah.
I can already hear it in your voice and I can see it in your face that you're a different person now. So you're going to be operating the
Hey,
business differently. You're going to be a
thank you.
different friend. You're going to be a different family member.
Thank you.
And that is what happens when you develop some of these, personal and business skills. Is not only do you get to help more families and make money and control your time and, contribute to society, but you also get to become a more well-rounded person.
True.
Okay.
True. Hey, I'm proud of myself. Thank you.
I am very proud of you, sir. All right, I'm going to head into bold right now. I appreciate everyone's time today. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you soon.